We are going to really quickly touch on Tahoe Trail 100. So I did this last weekend. Nate, you did it the year before. And I thought last year, I was like, I'd never want to do that race. And sure enough, here I was doing it. So and I had a great day, actually. It was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. I pre-rode the course beforehand, and I missed a section of the course on the pre-ride that I actually ended up loving on race day, and it was a really fun single track. They call it the Walternate. That was a blast. That was a lot of fun. It was really cool.
So on this race, Jonathan has nationals in how many weeks?
And a week and a half.
Week and a half.
A little less than a week and a half, actually. Yeah, a week and a day.
A week and a day.
She raced on a Friday.
So a question coming in here was, can I do Tahoe Trail and not hurt my performance at nationals? And what we said is, well, yeah, just ride it kind of a bit easier. You just need to get red corral, which was a 5:15. You'll get that no matter what. It's fine. John was like, sweet, let's do it. He rode in. He came in. He was just pacing normally or easy. Yeah. He came in 27 seconds below silver, which is a 4:45. So he beat that by 27 seconds. Didn't even mean to. So now he is.
I didn't know that was a thing.
But now you are.
That was so good.
Which is super annoying because afterwards he just kept saying, "Oh yeah, I wasn't pushing, just putting logs on the roadie, rolling coal."
Yeah, just rolling coal, keeping a log on the fire.
But I think it's the. There's a couple things I want to say about this. One is you're now in Silver Corral.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. So there's gold.
For Leadville, we should say.
Leadville.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
There's Gold Corral where at Tahoe Trail 100, almost no one gets, there's like 2 or 3 people.
Like a 4:15, right?
Yeah, it's like Levi Leipheimer and
Alex Wild won it this year.
Alex Wild,
yeah.
But I think the guy who was the really fast road rider who has Stetina.
Peter Stetina.
I think did he miss it because he had
a mechanical and he had to run for quite a while.
So he's in the same corral as Jonathan, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The second thing that is amazing about this is that the amount of food you ate, especially historically with your stomach.
Eye-opening.
Yeah.
Can you go over that?
Yeah, so I have historically, like you said, very fussy stomach. Can't tolerate a lot of things, and nutrition has been a hard thing. I even for one season, I didn't intentionally become fat adapted. I just eating screwed everything up, so I just ate less, and as a result, I'm sure I left a ton of low hanging fruit because I couldn't train very hard, right? But now, so basically. I took in, so here's what I ate. So the race took 4 hours and 44 minutes once again, but here's what I ate. I had 5.5 packets of Mar10 320. So that's their 320, basically 320 calories in one thing.
Roughly 80 grams of carb.
80 grams of carbs each. And I had that in, I started off with a bottle on my bike and then a bottle in my jersey and no pack. And then once I came around on the second lap, I picked up my pack. Everyone always asks what that pack is. It's a USWE, USWE, and I had the Airborne 3.
They're good packs.
Yep, they're good packs. So then I took the pack on that had 2.5 bottles in there, and then I had another bottle on my bike. The bottles on my bike were tall bottles, so it allowed some extra. So once again, 5.5 packets of Mar10 320 at 79 grams of carbs each. So that's 435 grams roughly of carbs.
Let me stop you there.
That's a lot.
That would be a lot. It would be like, Jonathan, good job.
Yeah.
That's over 100 grams an hour.
I kept going. Yeah.
Continue.
I had 3 Mar10 gels. I would have had more of them, but all I had was 3, and I thought I had more. There's a note. Always make sure that you have the nutrition you need before the race. So those gels are 25 grams of carbs each. So that's an additional 75 grams that I got from those. And then I basically, once I found out I didn't have enough gels, I scrambled and I found a pack of orange scratch chews. And those are 40 grams of carbs. So altogether, it was roughly 550 grams of carbs that we got over 4 hours and 44 minutes. So that comes down to about 123 grams of carbs an hour, which we talked about this last week, right? The whole 90 grams of carb being like a ceiling of what you can absorb. And usually if you don't absorb it, it should manifest itself in the form of gas and diarrhea, right? And luckily didn't have any sort of GI discomfort after the race, which was great.
But then Mitchelson Scott, when they looked at it, they're doing 80 to 100?
Yeah.
And I would argue that this day that he did is probably similar to a lot of tour days.
Sure.
for the amount of like the demand of it. Not the big, huge days, but
Right.
But this is just, I mean, we come from a time where it was 60 grams an hour. That's all you're going to be able to ingest. Then we found out if we combine glucose with fructose, we can push that up to like 90 gram for a lot of athletes. And then some athletes can tolerate 100, 110. Now we're seeing 123, 120 plus from an athlete who has a sensitive GI tract or stomach probably.
Yep. It's crazy.
It's eye-opening, to say the least. I mean, it's anecdotal. It's a one-time thing, but you made it work, and you didn't do a whole bunch of buildup leading into it. It's not like you cultivated this capability to tolerate high levels of incoming carbohydrate.
Yes.
Thank you. So someone, before on a previous podcast, I recommended people try the high end first if you've never done it, and then reduce.
Yeah.
Someone said, that's the worst. Nate, you're dumb. Like people love to hate on me. That's fine. I'm polarizing. I understand. But they said you got to go up on it. But I would argue sometimes you never know how far you can go unless you just try it.
Yeah.
Why not dive into the deep end once in a while?
And this was the perfect race to do it in because it was long. You were going to get, even if you had GI distress, you're going to get the 5:15 time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But now you know for Leadville, like you can have so many more carbs, and that's going to be such an advantage at
And
Leadville.
if your body can use it, look what that does to, I mean, it doesn't give you more work capacity. It lets you actually exploit the work capacity you've developed through all your training.
And he seriously, like, you looked fine afterwards, and we
I
hung
felt
out,
fine.
And he felt
you
fine.
ate.
And that's the other thing for the rest of the day. It's not like he went
whole
and
day.
spent the next couple of hours on the toilet.
Yeah, and when I went home, I didn't, feel like I needed to gorge myself. I was hungry after it, right? And for calories,
That too is informative.
yeah, like 2,200 calories is what I took in roughly, and I probably burned. So my power meter drifted throughout the whole race, down, and I know that's super convenient seeming, right?
bad
Because
power data.
your body also tends to drift down. But in this case, I was going up climbs at wattages that I shouldn't have been able to even get up.
It was like
Didn't matter.
180 watts, and you were like destroying people. Like
145 pounds.
Yeah,
you're not-
147
You're not
on
getting up
race
the hills at that speed, at that wattage.
Yeah, so so I probably burned somewhere around 3,500 calories. And mountain biking obviously also introduces a whole lot of additional caloric burn than we can measure with just pedals, right? But so it wasn't like I finished calorie positive or anything, but I wasn't starved. I never through the race felt starved. When I finished the race, I felt hungry because it was lunchtime. Like it was, it's just normal.
And another key thing about this is if I think when people have gastric distress, they can't eat lunch afterwards. You just don't want to eat anything. And we ate pizza and you had lunch afterwards and you were fine.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think it was in your head. You actually,
like
it really was fine.
It was fine.
We do. We should mention that the Martin,
that's
is that gel coated or that algae coated stuff. So there is a coating on it that they have at least one study so far that surfaced at the ACM conference this year that showed how it clears the stomach, and it does leave the stomach like a third of the time faster than regular maltodextrin fructose mix.
Yeah.
So there is something to the fact that it doesn't sit in your stomach as long, and I think that's where you're encountering most of your irritability. And then it gets into the small intestine, and the absorption takes place at whatever rate it takes place. I didn't get that far. I don't know if the study did either, but the fact is it got out of your stomach faster. It didn't sit there and give you enough time to get the stomach upset.
Yeah.
Jonathan's done fake Martan though, without that, and had the same results.
Yeah. So I
At
wonder
123 grams an hour.
Yes, actually, I have. Yeah, in a training ride before. Yeah. So the interesting thing with this is that I wonder how much of it just comes down to the 2-to-1 glucose fructose ratio, and kind of that's it, instead of adding a bunch of other stuff into it.
It's maltodextrin and fructose. Maltodextrin being the key part of it. That maybe you're fine eating.
Long chain glucose, so it breaks down a little slower.
Maybe you're fine having maltodextrin, where other stuff you're not. Like sucrose.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Like, and I don't want this to be like, I mean, I guess it is just inherently, but like, ever since I switched to trying this stuff, this Marten stuff, it's been big for me because, like I said, that was a huge challenge, and I bet that's why I've come to hate long stuff. Is just because I've had so many bad fueling experiences and stomach issues.
Sure.
So it's been a huge change.
Yeah, and it's not like this is some endorsement for Martin, but but it is something that clearly works for you.
Yep. Yeah.
So they don't give me anything. But I want to stress you had fake Martan and had the same results as the expensive Martan.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I think the principles behind it,
The key thing, I think, is for everyone, the takeaway from this is to keep trying different stuff. Yep. Because if you did this through, let's say, just normal sports drink, I think you would be throwing up on the course.
Yeah, and not just different stuff, but different amounts of stuff too.
Yep.
I mean, I would never recommend someone go out and try to ingest 120 grams of carbohydrate an hour over a long event. It would
be really hard.
Flies in the face of everything we found. You would. I wouldn't.
Yeah. There's lots of...
Now that I think it's possible.
It's more
eye-opening.
It's reported more that like pro teams are doing it, and like we would Jeff Kabush when he did Dirty Kansas. I think it was this level of carbs.
The whole entire race,
just huge carbohydrate amounts.
Yep.
The whole entire race
with the Nike. That's what Martin did with Nike for the 2 hour. Mm-hmm. They were doing, I think, 80 grams of carbs or 90 grams of carbs while you're running.
Which is a different deal.
Yeah,
exactly.
Kipchoge, I think it was. Okay, he was taking them at frequent intervals too.
Yeah.
Actually, I think he liked the longer intervals. I don't know.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's super impressive stuff. But it's changed things for me.
One last thing I want to say about this is Martin, Maurten.
Yeah.
The Leadville podcast with
Eldon Nelson,
which is
awesome cyclist known as. Yeah.
Awesome podcast. They call it Morton.
Yeah.
So you might call here Morton. I think you talked to them specifically.
Yes.
They're from Europe.
Yes. Martin.
That's how you say it.
Yep. Yeah. That's the way that we should pronounce it. So, the other side of things outside of the nutrition was the pacing side of things. And I think that, we've talked about this before, and Chad, you've mentioned this plenty of times that, data should inform perception,
always,
right?
Yeah.
There are certain cases where, you might feel like you're dying and you can push a little harder and you're toward the end of a race, that's one thing. But when we're talking about pacing for a long event, especially, it's key to keep that in mind. And especially in this case, because if I had ridden by numbers, I would have just been walking, right? Because my power meter was kind of going down. Yeah. But I feel like I paced pretty well on this one. It was 2 laps, and the 2 lap times actually were really close to each other, not that far off. I probably went a little too hard on the first climb, probably a good amount too hard, but I never felt like I was going really deep. And then throughout the rest of the race, I just tried to kind of hold on to that feeling that you have when you know that it's like that tempo feeling, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's, you're going to have a 5-hour day, so you can't ride a threshold. So it's just making sure that you're staying on the gas, so to speak. It's like an easy hard, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's not comfortable, but it's just,
sustainable.
Yeah, and it's not like I was out of like gasping for air or anything at any point either. So.
I think you were like 30 seconds within on your lap times, which on this course is crazy. Everyone else goes too hard on the first lap and then slows down a bunch.
Some solid pacing.
Yeah, and on that first climb, there were people blowing by me with like really loud VO2 breathing, and I'm like, man, we got a long race. It's not a good idea.
It's solid pacing that netted you a really good time too. Yeah. So anybody can go slow and nail their splits, but you went pretty fast and got your splits within a real slim margin.
And you will go faster if you do that. There's Ross Tucker. He's from South Africa, and his mentor was Noakes. And he did a study of like looking at all world record breaking times, and on in time trials and running and cycling, almost all of them are a negative split. Just a teeny, I think he said virtually all of them are a teeny tiny virtual negative split, but they are negative splits.
Just slightly.
So this idea of I'm going to go hard and bank time and then suffer in, you don't go as fast.
It doesn't work out.
And we've got data to back that up.
Yeah.
Yep, negative splits and narrow margins.
I think is his name Ross Tucker? Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool.
I blame training with power for that, by the way, just because I've done so many intervals inside in controlled circumstances, right? And you get to feel like you don't have to even look at the numbers, and you know what 300 watts feels like. You know what I mean? You know what
the
200 watts feels
inform
like.
perception. And the more you do it, the more informed you become.
And it's like so easy to be able to tie that in when you do a lot of structured training. It's like a huge benefit of it, I think, that's not talked about a lot.
Except at the very beginning of a time trial or race. Yeah. At the beginning, you got to look at that power meter and be like, oh, whoa, I got to back
hold
it down.
myself back.
That might be the single best scenario for staring at your stem.
And then I think is at the very end of it, when you're in that deep hurt box and you're like, oh, I can't make it, and there's a little bit left, and you look down and your power is so low, and you're like, oh, I can kick this up.
I can do better now.
It's like motivation.
Yep.
Those are the 2 times. In the middle of the race, the feel
is super important.
Yeah, if you can do it by feel, it's nice.
Yep. Yeah. So it was a cool race, tons of fun, and thanks for everybody for saying hi. We saw a ton of people out there that listen to this podcast and use TrainerRoad. Thanks for the polls, some of them even, when we came across the top of some climbs.
No wonder you were so fast.
Yeah, there we go. I just had a legion in front of me. They're just pulling me around.
This race is up or down. I don't know how.
Yeah.
There's maybe 4 minutes of drafting.
Yeah, but it was cool. It was a cool experience. So, and if you're going to Leadville, we'll see you at Leadville now.
Yeah, there's going to be Jonathan, I'm going to be there, and Brandon.
Yep.
And
Brandon's racing.
Yep, Brandon's racing for sure. He got his
He got a coin.
Brandon's the 5+ watt per kilo roadie, not a mountain biker. It's interesting to see who's going to be faster between your two.
I think he will be.
Brandon's training to actually eat and drink on the bike because he is the opposite, where for some
he had like 2 bottles of water maybe,
and that's it.
And
Are you kidding?
He blew up.
Okay, because you went quite a bit faster.
Yeah, he blew up.
No, it was only like 7 minutes, but.
Oh,
to give you an example, Chad, on the final climb,
he should have been a lot further ahead of me.
On the final climb on Strava,
Stedna-ish.
Yeah,
I had Stedna, not had a mechanical.
Yeah,
final climb on Strava, I beat him up a climb.
Yeah,
right. Like,
yeah, I mean, you're quite a bit larger, and you don't push the same watts per kg.
For those who aren't in this, Brandon is an amazing climber, and for me to beat him up a climb is something really went bad.
Yep, he was popped
really bad.
So yeah. Hopefully he can nail that.
But say hi to us.
Yes, we'll see you guys there. We won't be hanging around Leadville a whole lot because we're trying to be smart with elevation. So we'll be going up, picking up our packets, then heading back down to Golden, and staying there, and then driving up really early in the morning for the race. So
Golden, okay.
Anywho, we're looking forward to it. And really though, Leadville's kind of off the radar for me because I've got nationals next week. That's the important thing. So one quick thing on this, can you rebound, right? Because that's the main question that we had. And it's interesting, even though I didn't feel super fatigued from the race, right? I feel like I rebounded well in that regard in terms of just normal feeling. But on the bike, I've noticed it over the past 2 days.
A little sluggish?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not quite as sharp. But if anything, like the pain barrier is like lower. If you were to graph power and pain on the same like y-axis, and you were to look at it, that pain might start somewhere around like threshold, right? Or maybe just below threshold, depending on how long you're holding it. And over the past 2 days, that pain band has been a lot broader. So like it starts to hit a lot earlier on.
It's fatigue,
it doesn't seem to like hurt more the higher I go in that pain band. It all just kind of hurts. But it does have an effect for sure. So like yesterday, I changed my workout as a result. I did a sweet spot instead of going straight after VO2, just making adjustments.
That's what the
based
best
off of
athletes
what
do.
I feel.
You got to listen to yourself. Yeah.
Yep.
If you like this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up.
If you didn't like this video, you can give it a thumbs down, but let us know what you would have done differently in the comments below.
If you want to see more of these videos, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to become a faster cyclist, check out TrainerRoad.com.
Do it.
If you think I have better hair than Jonathan, give it a thumbs up. If not, leave a comment.
My hair is better than his.